military claims to have taken control of key areas north of Aleppo a day after the UN announced the Assad regime is willing to test a local ceasefire in the city. Ukrainian troops pull out of the embattled town of the Baltave, leaving it in control of pro-Russian separatists. Meanwhile, NATO urges Russia to withdraw all forces from the east. The largest treasure ever found in Israel, 2,000 gold coins dating back 1,000 years, is recovered from the seabed. I-24 News goes to the ancient harbor in Syria to see it up close.
The News Today with Lucy Aharish.
Good evening and welcome to the news today. The Syrian military today announced it has taken control of areas north of Aleppo, cutting off a key escape route to Turkey. Yet while regime troops are moving forward, the UN mediator on Syria said Tuesday evening that Bashar al-Assad is willing to stop all strikes on Aleppo for 6 weeks. It would be the first of a potential series of local truces. Meanwhile, elsewhere in Syria and the greater Middle East, the focus remains on the Islamic State terror group. The warnings are growing louder on Libya in particular, with concerns that the country is becoming the new hotbed of IS, only a boat ride away from Europe. The UN Security Council is meeting on the same issue today, with Arab countries calling for an end to an embargo on weapons sales to the Libyan government. We will speak with our analyst and a member of the Syrian opposition, but first, let's take a look back.
The government of Syria has indicated to me its willingness to halt all aerial bombing. I have no illusions because, based on past experiences, this will be a difficult issue to be achieved. Meanwhile, we will also pursue the political process which Cairo, Moscow have generated and actually build on it with a UN initiative.
And with me is former Israeli ambassador to Egypt, Eli Shaked. Good evening. Thank you very much for coming. And also Dr. Anat Hochberg-Marom. Good evening. Expert on global terrorism and marketing. Good evening. Thank you very much both for coming. So let's start. This is, can we say that it's a ceasefire, or it's just a truce, small truce that will signal the rest of the fighting in the future?
In Syria?
In Syria.
Well, this is a big question mark over this issue. In Syria, everything can happen from one day to another. Maybe that Assad, President Assad of Syria, is showing some first signs of softening towards the groups, the fighters against his regime. Could be. What will happen tomorrow in Syria is an enigma to all of us.
Is he softening? Because just a few days ago we said that he is just showing his ability on the ground. He is maintaining his governmental and more than that, even combining the power with Hezbollah. Right. So is he actually softening, or is he getting to the point that he's saying, okay, maybe after 3 years enough is enough and I need to start cooling things down?
If we take into consideration that it's a fragile situation, it's a very insecure, instable situation now in Syria, time will tell us if it's going to be softened or harsh against the global terrorist organizations, Al-Qaeda, as well as Jabhat al-Nusra from Al-Qaeda, as well as the Daesh or Islamic State. I wouldn't predict any further steps that Assad will do, but time would tell us if it's a softening from when he's becoming weaker, or that he doesn't have any other choice but to go and start to unite with other Arab states. For example, Egypt. For example, Jordan.
We didn't even start talking about Egypt and Libya, and this is only the beginning of the show, but we will continue, of course, talking about this. But before we continue, more on the fight in Aleppo from Shai Ben-Ari.
A glimmer of hope, or yet another cynical twist in a conflict which has raged for nearly 5 years, claiming the lives of over 210,000 people. Staffan de Mistura, the United Nations mediator tasked with achieving an end to the violence plaguing Syria, made a promising announcement Tuesday evening as efforts continued to agree a local ceasefire in the war-torn city of Aleppo.
The government of Syria has indicated to me its willingness to halt all aerial bombing, all sorts, all types of aerial bombing and artillery shelling for a period of 6 weeks all over the city of Aleppo, from a date which we will be announcing from Damascus.
De Mistura hopes the proposed truce in Aleppo will be the first in a series of planned local ceasefires which would establish a basis for a lasting political resolution. Few, however, are expressing much optimism about the plan, and the UN envoy himself noted history has proven that any talk of a ceasefire has usually led to an acceleration of violence, as each side attempts to improve positions ahead of a possible deal. In this case, it seems history is repeating itself. A major regime offensive is underway even now in and around Aleppo, with the army and allied militias capturing areas to the north of the city, blocking the main road leading out of Aleppo towards the Turkish border. The army said it has taken 6 nearby villages back from rebel hands. Fighting continues in the city itself as well. In the district of El-Manashir, jihadist fighters have claimed some success in battling the regime.
The army, the swine, tried to advance towards al-Manashir, but thank God with the enthusiasm of the heroes, the Mujahideen and the brothers, we were able to prevent them, and we killed 2 of Assad's dogs.
Reports have noted more than 80 casualties amongst rebel forces as a result of the offensive, at least 20 from the al-Qaeda-linked Nusra Front. The army has also suffered heavy losses, with 70 soldiers confirmed killed and 25 others unaccounted for.
We will engage also very much the opposition, hopefully to see them to respond to a similar request from the UN to halt mortar and rockets.
Rebel groups are yet to respond to the UN proposal, possibly because of de Mistura's statement last week describing President Bashar al-Assad as part of the solution to the conflict. As the diplomatic stalemate persists, those caught in the crossfire continue to pay the price.
Yes, and right now with us from Dr. Kemal Al-Abwani, a member of the Syrian opposition, joins us right now from Stockholm. Good evening, good to see you again. And let's try again. Do you hear me?
Yes, I hear you very well.
Perfect, perfect. So we've been discussing here the matter. Is it really the point that Bashar al-Assad maybe is softening, or he's trying to signal something to the world, he's trying to signal something to the Arab world, or is there something of a bigger interest that we are not aware of?
Bashar al-Assad gave order to kill, to bomb, and he commit crimes against his people. The problem not between 2 states, 2 parts. It's between the regime and between the people. So who is commit these crimes cannot be part of solution. That is the wrong diagnosis of de Mistura. I think in this approaching to this issue, we will not achieve any peace in Aleppo or anywhere in Syria.
Just let's try before we're saying that we won't get any peace. So if we won't get any peace, like you're saying, in Syria, what is the solution that should happen after 3 years and more than 200,000 people are killed in these battles?
Safe zone in north and safe zone in south, and new authority under leading of United Nations or the coalition. The third option, we need third option, not terrorism, not fanatic, not criminal regime. This is the solution, free zone and safe zone. This is, we have to start from this, not from ceasefire between the gangs and between the gangs of the regime. We are suffering a lot, yes, but this solution is not good.
So try to explain to me maybe the new equation that we're not understanding here, because Hezbollah is supporting Assad. Not only supporting Assad, helping him in the fighting, also Iran. We see from the other side the rebels and the opposition, and also Jabhat al-Nusra, who is fighting and maybe being blamed that even Israel is using Jabhat al-Nusra to help them fight the Assad regime. So explain to me a little bit what is going on here. Maybe I don't understand the equation in the correct way.
It is regional war. I think it is regional war. Some part will defeat the others. That is the end of the war. We cannot speak with local groups to cease fire. They have order from the others. I think anybody can broke this ceasefire and we will return to fight. The solution must be international solution to implement a new authority in Syria.
If we're talking about an international solution, like you're saying, international solution means what to the Syrian? It's not anymore Syria like we know, but a lot of countries that will be part or won't be anymore Syria, like the state Syria, the country Syria that we know?
The people of Syria is staying. I think we have duty to give the Syrian of people his right to rebuild his authority, his leadership, not the agents of Iran or agents of Al-Qaeda. No. I think the duty of the United Nations to give the Syrian people his right to rebuild his authority. This is the way to implement justice, to implement peace in Middle East and in Syria. Without this, we cannot start from a point and after that wait. And why you don't use the same principles with Daesh? Why you are fighting Daesh? If it is easy to find solution with the criminal regime, it's more easy to find solution with the criminal terrorism.
You know, maybe I will try to answer you in a sentence that maybe the UN is thinking, better the devil you know, because they started with opposition. Nobody knew, I remember when we started talking about the fighting in Syria, nobody knew who exactly is the opposition, who exactly is fighting against Bashar al-Assad. At the end of the day, we discovered that these rebels are being helped by Jabhat al-Nusra. Jabhat al-Nusra is linked to al-Qaeda. Al-Qaeda is a terror group. So, you know, this finds, let's say, the Syrian people in a really complicated situation, because if Bashar al-Assad is going, this will leave a big vacuum to maybe IS to come and control Syria.
To avoid vacuum, we have to start from safe zone from south and safe zone from north, under the watch of Turkey and Jordan. So we can start from points, and we can be sure that there is no terrorism. There is third option. Yes, we can start from these points, but in this way, I don't believe in this approaching to the issue.
Yes, Dr. Kamal Al-Abwani, thank you very, very much for this conversation with us.
Thank you.
Who can assure us that, you know, like we didn't know what was happening at the beginning of all this mess in Syria, who can assure us that maybe the UN is right, maybe it's better to stay with Bashar al-Assad, to get a diplomatic solution with Bashar al-Assad, to let's say prevent the cases that happened in Iraq, to prevent the cases that happened in one way or another in Egypt, to prevent the cases that happened in Libya, and to say, okay, let's try it in a different way this time. Let's help the current regime so we won't get something even more horrible than what we are seeing right now.
Well, unfortunately, to my opinion, the Americans are totally wrong as far as their approach to Syria and to Bashar al-Assad. No, Bashar al-Assad cannot stay in power. It's impossible for him and for his regime and the Alawite to stay in power in Syria. They are a minority, first of all. They are controlling the country for many years. They have brought nothing but disaster to Syria. The Syrian people at large, or I mean the majority, will not accept him. Israel cannot accept him because he is on the Shiite crescent, so to say. As long as he is in Damascus, in power, the connection between the direct connection between Hezbollah and Tehran is there, and we should not accept it.
But
Turkey will
what
not
is
accept
making
it.
the subject more complicated is when the Shiite is right now fighting the most horrible terror group that we ever saw after al-Qaeda, which is the IS. So it just makes the things even more complicated. When we see Hezbollah is fighting IS, when we see that Iran is also providing some kind of help to fight the IS, maybe this whole big man, the bad guy with the cooperation with the United States. So I stopped seeing who the bad guys and who aren't the good guys, because it seems that everything here is mixing up and maybe creating a big chaos all over again.
So let's focus not on Assad, but on Daesh, which is the issue, the factor, the game changer here. Whether Assad will be still the leader or not, it doesn't matter, because still the global jihad is growing to intensify and to growth, and to the evolving threat of the global jihad, whether it's Daesh or al-Qaeda, still exists and evolved more and more. It's become tougher. Again and repeat it, it's not that Assad will be there or not. Not necessarily is the reason or the consequences of him to go away or to be toppled won't change a lot. What will be the changes after the Daesh will go over Syria, will seize more and more thwarts in areas and territories in Syria and Iraq and Lebanon and Jordan. This is what have to urgent us.
What we're saying is, yes.
I don't think that Daesh taking control, so to say, on Syria is a big disaster. First of all, not for Israel. I don't see the threat, surprising or not, by Daesh, imposed by Daesh on the others. If Assad falls and his regime, and let's say Daesh with the 20,000 or 30,000 combatants there, it's not a big deal. They are the dominant element in Syria. The war is not over there. After Assad, there won't be peace in Syria. Syria has already fallen apart, and it will come out in 4 or 5 different states.
So yeah, but I totally
the Kurds, the Druze, the Alawites, nobody will accept ISIS.
But a game changer is Daesh. Daesh is the major factor here. You cannot say that there are not, the only 20,000 or 30,000 fighters, they're only in Syria. But what about Iraq? What about all over?
How many are they?
They're about a lot more. They're above 50, but it's not depends on the quantity. But what they change, it's the consequences. It's not only politically, not only militarily. You don't have to look only on Syria. Let's see what's going on in the Middle East, in the whole Middle East and Africa as well.
What I'm trying to say is that nobody is going to accept this horrible organization, the Islamic State. Nobody. Neither Egypt, no Saudi Arabia, or the people of Syria, or Jordan, Israel, of course.
But you know what we're saying?
They are going to be busy for many years with fighting against their neighbors.
But you know what's the problem?
Not necessarily with Israel.
But you know what's the problem? What we are seeing here is the collapse of Bilad al-Sham when we're talking about Syria. And just a while ago, we almost saw the collapse of al-Umam, Egypt. So it seems that the Arab countries or the Muslim countries are not able to control the situation inside, like their inner local problems are just going spreading outside, and more than that, now they need to face the IS. So again, the people are looking maybe for democracy. The people are looking to change the regime, but the people are also seeing that maybe on the other side of the map, there is this certain group that can change the game, and they are changing the game.
The coalition that is playing against the Islamic State is so strong, starting with Egypt, not to count Israel, of course, Egypt, Saudi Arabia, the Gulf states. They are afraid from the Islamic State organization more than Israel should be afraid. We shouldn't be afraid.
But
the war is going on and will go on in the Middle East, in Syria, in Iraq for many years from now. And as I said, Israel is not at the top priority of ISIS. So the enemy tomorrow is not going to be Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi.
No, of course, it's not the top priority for Israel, but it is the top priority, becoming the top priority for the Arab countries, because they are becoming more and more the target for IS. And you know, for Israel, the top priority is the Arab countries. So are the Arab countries. So it's like all connected to another.
Right. Daesh forced the Arab state to unite, to put aside disputes, rivalries, and other differences among themselves and between themselves. They forced them to unite. Let's see what's going on now in Egypt and also in Jordan. They forced them to go and then to cooperate and to go maybe into the coalition.
I have no doubt that Egypt is going to overcome the present problems in Gaza, in Sinai, in Libya,
You're
and
very
inside
optimistic.
Egypt.
I'm not sure about Sinai. Is a huge problem. Sinai is
a huge problem, but not if the Egyptian regime will take it seriously. Unlike what happened during Mubarak's times, they ignored Sinai. Once they take Sinai seriously and Gaza seriously, it's not only a matter of time. The Egyptian army is so well equipped and so big. It's not a match. It's a mismatch of the history.
Yeah, but they are being dragged into Libya, and like
financial problems in Egypt
to the honey. It's like it's
again how many Daesh people and the Ansar al-Sharia, Ansar al-Sharia. Over there, how many people are there?
There are enough in order to cause the instability, the insecurity, and to go through...
To kill 20 Copts.
But it starts
to kidnap
with the
35 Egyptians working there. But it's not an army that can take Egyptian land, for instance. They cannot invade Egypt.
The recent attack that we saw on Sinai, the Sinai Peninsula, was one of the most brutal attacks that we saw against Egypt, coming from the outside just 2 weeks ago. So, some people will say that not such a long time ago, the Israeli army was not a big army, but the Israeli army managed to battle against 7 armies and win at the end. So history teaches us that it's not the mass of people. Yeah, it's not that quantity.
Okay, what I would like to say is that the Egyptian army, with all these vicious attacks on Egyptian targets in North Sinai and other places in Egypt itself, and now in the Western Desert, the Egyptian army, or Egypt, is not going to collapse. Egypt is not going to be taken by ISIS or the Ansar Baitel, whatever it is. It's not the case. We see in Syria they are killing each other, hundreds, how many, 300,000 people killed over there, combatants and civilians, and still Bashar is there.
So we started with the question whether he will be there or toppled there, or will be slaughtered, or will be away.
He cannot stay.
He doesn't. No,
as far as Israel is concerned, as far as Turkey is concerned, and I think that
he is not the factor. What I'm mentioning and what I've just started to say, he's not the reason of how the Middle East is going to reshape, because the Daesh and ISIS reshape and dictate the political order, the status quo right away. It's what happened with Daesh. What Daesh does and do every day, it what caused the Middle East to be shaped by, I mean, to be changed.
You know, I want to take it another floor. How will the international community is going to manage right now? Because we see the United States has a lot of interest. The United States knows that Russia is backing Bashar al-Assad, and the United States and Russia are not in such, let's say,
and Saudi Arabia is in a fragile state
warm
also.
Relationship, and we know that Russia is also backing in one way or another Iran, and Iran is not also in a warm relationship with the United States. So how this is going to change the fight against IS, because, you know, again, this is connected.
Daesh is the major factor here. Again, that's why I'm saying that it's not a minor, you know, actor to put aside and say, okay, there are only thousands here, thousands there. No, it's not enough. I think there are. What we will see in the near future is a lot more tougher, a lot more stronger, and a lot more crucifying that we have seen until today. They are going to repeat it.
And not only that, if we're talking about the battle of mind,
right.
because it's more about the battle of mind and the battle
right.
of ideology than the battle on the ground.
As we just spoke yesterday, it's a battle of ideas. It's a battle of ideologies. You cannot only use the airstrikes against the ideology. It's not enough. See what's going on in Libya at the moment. Let's see what's going on in the whole Africa.
Because
well, I wonder what will be the reaction of Turkey on the one hand, Turkey, the Sunni empire, and Iran on the other hand, the Shiite empire. What are they? How are they going to react to the Islamic State becoming the major factor in Syria and Iraq?
Right.
Maybe this is what is driving the Arab world crazy, that this Islamic State, this small group, this not small but horrible group, at the end of the day is taking all the focus right. from the big empires, from the big countries who are trying to get the focus from the international community. But at the end of the day, the United States is dealing with IS and not with Turkey, and Europe is dealing with IS right. and not with Turkey being part of the European and the coalition and the European community. Right. So we only started talking about this. Thank you very much for coming. Thank you very much for coming. We're going out for a small break, 2-minute break, and then we will be back for the rest of the news today. Don't go anywhere.
Al will do everything so that from the first moment and all the way to